Hi, my name's Amy, and we're here today to talk about Transgender Reality 101, a community conversation presented by the Public Library of Cincinnati and Hamilton County, Cincinnati Allied Transgender Support, Crossport, Heartland Trans Wellness, Trans Saints, and the Transgender Advocacy Council.
I'm Ariel. The community conversation will ask the question, how can we effectively challenge misinformation and stereotyping of what it means to be transgender? Every voice matters in a safe and respectful environment. Join us on Tuesday, October 22nd from 7 p.m. to 8:30 at the Blue Ash Branch Library.
Hello, I'm Shane. Our community conversation welcomes everyone to participate, where we will share our experiences and learn from each other.
So tell us about yourselves. You want to start, Amy?
As you know, my name's Amy. I am obviously an older trans person. I transitioned just 6 years ago. Before that, not even knowing I was trans. I work at Northern Kentucky University, officially a math professor. I also do some transgender support there, trying to do a trans allied type training. And I try to reach out to the community as much as I can.
I'm Shane, and I represent the Cincinnati Allied Transgender Support Group. I volunteer there with the leader, Brandon, and I'm also a community advocate trying to advocate for change and progress in the community, and I'm trained as a clinical research coordinator and work at a pediatric hospital.
My name is Ariel. I am a student over at the University of Cincinnati, majoring in women, gender, and sexuality studies. I am a writer on trans experience, as well as a model, actor, and activist. And I am an advocate for the Black trans community, as well as trans communities of color. So what are you looking forward to discussing at the upcoming community conversation, Transgender Reality 101?
Well, I'd like to discuss the political atmosphere, past and present, the immense progress we've made in the last 10 years. When I first transitioned, there was no support, and the medical community is also, and the psychological community has also come a long way in supporting us. And also just dispelling myths and stereotypes, and addressing, the violence that the community still faces.
But yeah, no, trans women of color have the highest rate of being murdered out of all of LGBTQ people of color, especially Black trans women. And so when we have these conversations, we talk about pronouns, we talk about respect, we talk about different gender identities, but we don't talk about race and reality of being trans, because because a lot of us, we aren't going to college, where we're surrounded by whiteness. We are in the real world where anything can happen. I've been catcalled, I've been stared at, I've been laughed at. This is real. And no one seems to talk about the experiences that Black trans women go through.
I see a lot of that on campus. I have 4 trans students in my classes that I know this semester, which is a lot, I think.
Wow.
And of course, there may be more. Those are just the ones that I know are trans.
Out and open about it.
But beyond that, there's all these students who are just kind of playing with gender somehow. You look at the student, that's not a normal male presentation. I don't think they're trans, but they're obviously, grabbing some what we might consider feminine things and putting that in their presentation. And all the other students, no problem. I do work with the trans students enough to know that there are some problems out there. But overall, mostly it's young people, and of course the college campus itself, are accepting of trans identities, including non-binary.
I think the beautiful thing about it is that the younger generation is like, gender is a circle. It's not like this spectrum, it's a circle, and we are each somewhere within that circle. Because when you say a spectrum of like male, female, you leave out non-binary people who don't identify that way. But a circle, it's like we're somewhere on this point?
The biggest issue I had was I was 42 when I transitioned. I was socialized as a female, raised as a female to have female manners. I had no idea. You know, the world treats you totally different when you're a man. Totally different. You know, I was a woman, I was a lesbian for 20 years, I transitioned, so I've been just about everything. Straight, gay, woman, man. I have lived the whole spectrum, and the world is totally different to you as a man.
How is that?
Well, you get more respect, and also you're more prone to aggression. You know, males won't aggress at a female, but, you know, they're more aggressive toward you, you know, more likely to, you know, and learning how to, I didn't know, you know, the rules are different for men and women. Mm-hmm. And learning, you know, how men are supposed to behave. Somebody told me, oh, you shake hands like a girl, and it's like all these things that you don't even think about. You know, trying to figure out how to fit into this expectation of what you're supposed to do. It's awkward.
I think I figured out I was trans at 56. Before I had that, I had no idea. I just thought I was a very strange straight male with some psychological problems.
Did you say gay male?
Straight.
Straight male, okay.
You know, I was straight. I was accepted in conservative spaces. I mean, so it was a much different life. So I think what happened is when I was about 5, 6 years old, I tried to come out to a few people. This was early 60s. It did not work real well. I don't really have too many memories because I repressed all that. And it wasn't until I was 56 that came back to me, oh, that's what I am. That's why I've never felt comfortable in any of these situations in my life. And so all of a sudden, I'm going from thinking I'm this straight male kind of drifting into retirement to having this whole big change in life. And I had to figure out how to negotiate that. So I really needed the therapist. You know, we talked about how we needed him just to sign the papers, but I needed a therapist just to figure out who I was.
I saw movies with trans characters, but the first time that I really like questioned my gender identity or that I saw myself was when I saw Glee. And there was this character, Unique, who was a black trans girl who went to a high school and dealt with a lot of like pushback from classmates and everything. And while that whole plot point was a little bit problematic, just because of the fact that it was a cis gay man playing that role, it was still very revolutionary for that time. Now today, it would be kind of messy. It would be very problematic. So it's like, why are you casting this cis man in a trans role? But back then, it was a really big deal to me. And I remember feeling some type of euphoria, because I'm like, I like that character. That's me. That's literally me. Like, I didn't use the words, I'm a woman, but I was like, that's me, you know?
My partner of 10 years, we bought a house together. We were like soulmates. Right. You know, she was a hardcore lesbian, and she didn't want me to have top surgery. And I did it because I had to. Mm-hmm. You know, I knew the risks, but transition is a very selfish endeavor. You have to do it I knew that she wasn't going to approve, so I scheduled it, and then when she found out, she was not happy about it. And not too long after, before I actually had surgery, she cheated on me, and we broke up. And I think she wouldn't have stayed with me because I was transitioning. So that's the one thing people don't realize sometimes, you know, you can lose relationships.